What's good? What's good? I'm just doing some laundry, and so while killing time, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I came across a post from one of my favorite pages. It's the Seattle Looks Like Shit page. The post was detailing a story about a man who last year, he owns a car dealership, and last year a criminal in broad daylight stole one of his vehicles, and there were police nearby. But because the criminal was fleeing, and at the time Washington State had a no pursue policy in place, meaning the police could not chase the suspect. So this man got in one of his own personal vehicles, pursued the criminal, apprehended the criminal until police arrived, and essentially recovered his own rightful property. Now, this man is being charged by the city with reckless driving because he may or may not have been entirely safe in pursuing his property because the police cannot. This is exactly what the abolition of private property looks like. And so I commented on the thread. I said, I hate leftists because they're the ones creating this mess. I do not love conservatives, but at least they value private property or something like that. And of course, because it's a Seattle-based Instagram page with a lot of snowflakes, there's some commenting and replies and back and forth. And the topic of anarchy came up, and this person had accused me. They said, oh, you support anarchy? Well, you're actually then a leftist, so you are what you despise. And we ended up having a back and forth about how anarchism is not inherently leftist. However, a lot of leftist thinkers of the past have influenced anarchists throughout time. And through the back and forth with this person who claims to have written a PhD on the leftist nature of anarchism, we came to some agreement points. And I loved it because I perfectly employed the Socratic method. I just asked them questions to kind of guide them to a place where I knew we could come to an agreement. And so we agreed that A, there are different types of anarchists from left to right. There is a divergence point, and it's usually around private property. But before that, there is often an agreement point that the ruling class sucks. Fuck the ruling class. However, when you start to need to abolish private property, you need a government. So this is where I believe the divergence happens. Anarcho-communists, the leftist anarchists, this is legitimately what they believe. They believe we need to construct a massive bureaucratic system of monitoring and distributing resources, the state. And over time, once we have reached this point of equity, the state will slowly just naturally wither away. And we will have constructed the society where everybody's needs will be met. Naturally. The state will no longer exist. Yes, okay, we need to build this massive state before we get there, but we'll get there. Don't worry. Believe us. There's nothing about human nature that says you give people access to the control of resources and no, nothing's going to go wrong there. Whereas the right-leaning, the anarcho-capitalists believe that the state, any form of the state of controlling people, controlling resources, is morally wrong. It's very simple. If an interaction is not consensual, it is wrong. Therefore, everything about the state is wrong because you cannot opt out of the state's rules. You cannot opt out of the state's regulations. I mean, you can, But then there's penalty. There is the threat of violence. And you can't tell me there's not the threat of violence. Not when we had the summer riots of BLM, George Floyd, blah, 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 police brutality. Yeah, the police state sucks. I agree with you guys. But it's not racist. It's not bigoted. It is, well, it might be some of those. But it is a result of enabling authoritarian behavior. Because if there was no state, there would be no police. That's not to say then there might not be security, but that gets down to the community level and how they want to construct their relationships. And this is like why I think the leftists, the anarcho-communists are so dumb. Because they actually believe, well, I don't think most leftists know that there is that middle step of constructing the huge administrative state. I think most of them don't know that. Which is why I think they still support communism. Because that is an element that is not talked about enough. It's not just the abolition of private property, but no, it is the centralization and then distribution of all property and resources. And then people start to talk about, oh, well, you're allowed to have toothbrushes. Oh, thank you, gee, I get a toothbrush. So yes, what was the title of this video? I don't even remember. It was going to be something, I don't even fucking remember. I think I'll have to end it there.